I am writing 2 different books. One is about my life, and recently I had to tackle a very difficult part of the book. And the difficult part of the book was the death of my father, the death of my mother, and the death of my daughter. So in a very short space of time, I lost 3, very, very important people. And I came to the stage of the book and I was like, right, I need to write about this now. And I found that I couldn't. And I couldn't even put one word down. It just didn't work. So I found myself going back to other paragraphs before and editing and messing around basically in order to avoid what I knew was unavoidable. And it was it was a difficult process, quite a difficult process in order to be able to actually get started on that. I was getting annoyed at myself because I knew what I was doing. I was procrastinating. I wasn't getting to the meat of the matter, if you like. And I said, right, I have to get this down in some way, some way or another. And then when I actually started to write it, it was the process of writing it started to become clearer to me, the experience of losing those people, and what that had meant to me. And I was still trying to maintain the way that I had written everything else up to that point. And I'll be honest, it was it was also probably the most difficult time of my life, 100%. But it was also very difficult to actually get that down in words and to describe what it is to lose somebody who's that close to you. It happened, and I've got it down now, but it was a very difficult process. But once I started doing it, and once I actually started to say, now we are going to put this down, and I don't care how it comes out, it actually helped me in a way clear up some of the emotions that had been repressed or that had not come out completely. And I could look at them. I've spoken about this before. When you write, you can look at happenings or emotions in a different way, in a sort of almost like you're above it. You can look at it from above. And that's definitely what I felt like. I was watching myself writing this, having a difficult time with it, but the process of actually writing it made it a bit easier to take, and also made it a bit easier to try to comprehend. I mean, death is not an easy thing to comprehend, but it's one thing that we're going to face. Every one of us is going to face at some point. But it made the understanding of it a little bit better. And that's, again, to the point we've discussed this loads of times before about writing being therapeutic. In that case, I think it was the best form of therapy that I could, do. And it certainly helped me. However, I find that it's quite tricky to go back and read it again. So there's other parts of my book I will go back and I will constantly, edit or change, or maybe I'll move around or whatever. It's pretty fresh. So I only wrote it in the last 2 weeks or so. But that part I have not gone back to just yet. I find it still too raw and still too painful to look at it. But it is helping me get through that, or to find some place for it, because there's things that happen in life that, are not you. It's very difficult to place them, and you're emotional, and there's a whole lot of things around them. There's things that are very difficult to place them, but I'm now finding that I'm definitely the placing of it has become easier. So it's an interesting phenomenon. And I find myself now kind of going, well, I'm not going to be as afraid to tackle the harder stuff going forward as I was about this, because this is possibly the worst thing that I've had to write, So it's definitely helped me going forward that I would be able to tackle other subjects that are going to be really hard, but with the eye of, if I can get them on paper, it'll help me process them.
Yeah, I want to, before I pass to Maria, I want to explore that moment when you were stuck writing about the death of your daughter's father and mother. I want to explore that, just share something that I observed yesterday, but probably it's connected to what you just described. So I met a good friend yesterday before the court came, and he has a friend. Actually, one of his best friends is dying of cancer, and his good friend is just 40, which is devastating. So basically, his good friend has a few weeks, if not less. We don't know exactly, but we're talking about it among other topics. And I realized that my friend was trying to say that he is about to die without saying it. So he would say he won't be with us in a few weeks. He won't be around. He wouldn't say with the exact word he will die in a few weeks. We all tend to avoid that when it hurts. The same, let's say, when you have a pet and you bring him to the vet, to get that terrible injection. So we tell that we put our pet to sleep. We don't say that this pet just died, and most people need like months to say it with all the words. So I would like to explore with you whether you think that writing was some sort of acknowledgement of something that you don't want to accept. Was that the stuff that was on the way for you to getting the job done, or was something else?
I think there was a couple of things. I think it was the fear of the emotion coming out. It's come out before. I've worked on it. I've gone to therapy about it. So I've worked it through. But I was afraid that it was going to come out again. I think that was part of it, and I think then the other part of it was, in a certain way, I felt almost exactly what you mean. What you hit the nail on the head. It was almost, if I wrote this, it means it's actually happened.
Yes.
And I almost had this moment of, if I don't write this, well, maybe it actually hasn't happened. I know that that's completely irrational, stupid, because it has happened. However, writing it seemed to be almost like, well, then I'm accepting that it's happened. So it was very strange, and it was that kind of almost physical, kind of crushing feeling. I can't put this down in words now, and that was the reason why I couldn't. And I had to look at it, and I had to look at it carefully for myself and go, well, what's stopping you doing this? You have to tackle it. It's happened. It's part of your story. It's part of your life, and that's what you're trying to write down. So you need to get over yourself and get it down. But it was not an easy process. And I think you're definitely right. There is a certain, death is an extremely complex issue with humans. And you're right. We terminate, we phrase it in a nice way, oh, he won't be with us, or, oh, he's resting now, or, he's at peace now. And those are all things that are there to make us feel better, it's, I think we have a real difficulty with it. We can't face death. Is something we're all going to face, but yet we can't face it. And it's something that a lot of people are afraid of, but it is going to happen. But if it's already happened, and one of the things that I definitely noticed was, if I write that down, I've accepted that this has happened.
Yes.
This is a very strange thing. I know it's happened. It's it has happened, but writing it down was almost like it's a final acceptance, and I didn't want to finally accept it. You
Yeah.
know,
It's a defeat. I'd say it's a defeat that you don't want to admit. It's the same that, of course, it's I'm not comparing the hardship. Huh? Don't get me wrong. But let's say you are playing a final, just that's the Champions League final, just to make it simple, and you are on the loser side, and you get a medal confirmed as on the loser side. You don't want that fucking medal. You just don't. You don't want that. You'd
no,
rather go and take a shower or go
yeah,
home and
or
sleep or
whatever.
have a few drinks, but you don't want that medal. No,
Yeah,
don't put it around your neck. You don't want to have that
that's why you
medal.
see
And
them all taking it off straight
yes,
away. Do you know what I mean?
yes, yes,
But
yeah.
that's
But
a good analogy to it. But it's a whole other level of it. But that is a good analogy. It's that kind of, yeah, and
stamp.
it's that,
It's like a stamp. I'm confirming it, and I'm
Mm.
using my own hands. Stamp.
yeah,
And you don't want that. Okay, it happened. It was outside of my control. Yeah, I'm admitting, but I don't want to be part of that story. It's taking
yeah,
place, but it's not because of me. And the moment you write it, you are kind of collaborating, let's say,
mm,
in 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 some sense or form. Uh, I'm not going to stay on the death topic because we could be here for ages. And again, Jeroen, we had these conversations in private. But maybe once we can use it as a theme for one of our workshops. I think writing
Mm.
and death or finitude. I think it's one I'd say to be enough for a whole workshop.